George, I got fired. I could see a figure crouched in the shadows of a narrow alley. Standing there in the pouring rain, soaked to the bone, was my former coworker, Emily. The tremble in her voice squeezed at my chest. I held out my umbrella, shielding Emily from the rain. Why? As I listened to Emily's story, a burning anger started to rise within me. Unfair treatment, an unreasonable reason for dismissal, and behind it all, the looming presence of the company president's daughter. This is unforgivable. I clenched my teeth and tightened my fists. There was no time to worry about appearances anymore. Emily, I have an idea. I looked straight into Emily's eyes and said calmly, yet firmly, let's show them what we're made of. Emily's eyes widened. But how? I smiled. Leave it to me. There's something I haven't told you yet. A secret. The rain was coming down even harder, but our determination was stronger than ever. This is where our comeback begins. My name is George Nelson. Before I was old enough to understand anything, my parents divorced. My mother, who took me in, disappeared just before I finished middle school. Because of that, I never went to high school and started working at the company where I am now. The company was Thompson Industries, run by Kenneth Thompson. It began in a used office building tucked away in a quiet neighborhood, but eventually moved into a high-rise near the city center, evolving little by little along the way. Thompson Industries was a long-standing manufacturer known for producing household appliances and other goods. The company that Mr. Thompson had built from the ground up had grown rapidly, becoming a formidable competitor to even the largest corporations in the same industry. By some twist of fate, as someone with only a middle school education ended up joining that very company. At first, I worked on the production line doing simple tasks. But I was always asking myself, isn't there a more efficient way to do this? I stayed late into the night, observing the production process, taking detailed notes, and putting together improvement proposals to present to my supervisors. Seeing how seriously I took my work, Mr. Thompson began to take notice of me. One day, Mr. Thompson suggested opening an in-house contest to gather new product ideas in hopes of bringing fresh innovation to product development. Secretly, I had always dreamed of working in development, so I entered without hesitation. To my surprise, out of more than 200 entries, my idea was chosen. It was a smart energy manager that used AI to optimize electricity usage in the home. The concept was praised for its originality. Several employees from the development team were astonished by the quality of my work and ideas, and they began campaigning to bring me into their department. Though humbled, I knew this was an opportunity that would never come again, so I accepted the transfer. Product development was the heart of the company. It was tough, but also incredibly fulfilling. One of the biggest challenges was designing a user interface that could unify control over an array of complex household appliances. I became the test subject myself, repeating trials hundreds of times in pursuit of a UI that was intuitive and easy to use. Back then, things were much more chaotic, both in terms of work culture and working hours. Still, I was deeply grateful to the senior staff who treated me as an equal, even though I was practically still a kid. When you're young, you should seek out all kinds of experiences, even if you have to pay for them. That's what they used to say, and they gave me work that would have been unthinkable for someone in my position, even letting me experience things normally reserved for executives. Sometimes I was even invited to sit in on negotiations with clients, where I experienced firsthand the importance of business strategy and contracts. As the project reached its climax, I became so absorbed that I forgot to eat or sleep. And at last, the smart energy manager that I had led the development of was released. The response far exceeded expectations, earning high praise in industry magazines and becoming a major success. Through that experience, I grew from a simple idea man into a project leader who could oversee the entire product development process. More than anything, I felt a deep sense of joy and pride in seeing my idea take shape and actually improve people's lives. The people at the company were open-minded and kind, treating me like family. Even the part-time ladies on the production line continued to fuss over me like always. Around that time, at Mr. Thompson's suggestion, I was assigned to a long-term overseas business trip. Apparently, one of the executives at a partner company had previously worked at Thompson Industries, and they were looking for someone who could take on product development and manufacturing responsibilities at the overseas branch. That's how I was chosen. Though it was called a business trip, I ended up staying over there almost full-time and spent nearly 5 years abroad. And now, today, standing once again in front of the Thompson Industries building for the first time in years, I was stunned by how much had changed. The interior was so stylish it was unrecognizable, and the reception area had a view that rivaled even the Tokyo Skytree. Seated there was a woman so stunning she could easily compete with those at any other company. But the moment I stepped inside, I could feel that something was deeply different. The lighting was bright and white as always, but the atmosphere was far darker and more subdued than it had ever been when I first joined. I quickly spoke to the nearest employee. He looked up at me with an annoyed expression. "What is it?" "You know what happened to Samuel? He used to work here." "Oh, that guy? He quit ages ago." "He quit?" "Yeah, I guess he just didn't fit in with the new culture around here. I mean, if he had stayed in charge, you know." With a sigh of disbelief, the employee lazily went back to tapping his keyboard. "It seems like the company has really changed. There's not a single familiar face left." Feeling a wave of loneliness, I quietly returned to my old desk, a bit removed from the others, and began unpacking my things. Suddenly, a piercing, hysterical voice rang out across the office. "There's no way a product like this is getting approved. Are you seriously that stupid? I'm terribly sorry. I'll redo it immediately. Don't waste my time with nonsense like this, okay?" The owner of that shrill voice appeared, her heels clacking loudly on the floor. "Jennifer, you have a phone call." A middle-aged male employee, who appeared to be a secretary, bowed repeatedly as he held out a cell phone. "Oh, from that person? Just tell them I'm busy and handle it however you see fit." "Understood." As the man covered his mouth, desperately trying to explain, the woman referred to as the acting president scanned the room with a sour expression. "Everyone, this is the critical moment. We need to outshine them, so come up with something that will really leave them speechless." There was silence in the room. She mentioned the name of a rival company that had recently been gaining momentum, and everyone fell silent. But she didn't change her stern expression one bit. With an irritated click of her tongue, she walked off. As soon as she left, it was as if a weight had lifted. The room began to buzz with murmurs. "Just because she's Mr. Thompson's daughter, she acts like she owns the place. Hard to believe she's related to that gentle Mr. Thompson. I mean, she's so loud that it's impossible to focus on work. That poor old guy must be totally worn out getting bossed around by that little tyrant." Watching the middle-aged man jog to keep up behind her, I couldn't help but chuckle to myself. "You better be careful not to get on her radar." Startled, I turned to Kyle, who sat across from me. "You're new, right? That woman always picks on the newbies. She just can't help herself." "Okay." Kyle gave me a look like he'd just done me a favor and returned to his usual work on his computer. "All right, everyone, gather around for a minute." Miles, the current head of the development department, called everyone over in a half-hearted voice. "It's a bit late, but let me introduce someone. This is George. Starting today, he'll be working with all of you." At his prompting, I stepped forward. "My name is George. I'm looking forward to working with you all. I know I have a lot to learn, so I'd be grateful for your guidance. Thank you in advance." As I spoke, I bowed deeply. There was a light, half-hearted round of applause, and just as everyone began heading back to their desks thinking the introduction was over, the piercing voice of that woman suddenly rang out as she barged into the development department. "Hey, where's the new guy?" Everyone froze with uneasy expressions and quickly lowered their heads. That would be me. The moment she saw my face, she gave a look of obvious disappointment. "Oh, you? And your name is?" George. I'm Jennifer. I'm sure you already know, but since my father is currently hospitalized, I'm acting as the president, but that acting part will be coming off soon, so keep that in mind. As she said this, Jennifer looked me over from head to toe, as if inspecting a product. I heard you only finished middle school. Even a high school diploma is considered bottom of the barrel these days. How did you even manage to get in here? Her eyes narrowed suspiciously, like she was wondering if I had pulled some strings. Well, I had some personal circumstances. Before I could finish, her glare shifted sharply toward the back of the room. Hey, you there. A few employees, apparently caught in her sights, stiffened. You were about to leave? Well, we finished our work for today, and we have plans. Did you not hear what I just said? You have ears, don't you? With that, Jennifer began to corner them verbally. Right now, we're on the brink. If we want to beat our competitors, we need to keep pushing forward with product development. Got it? She pointed to her temple as she rattled off her demands. The employees exchanged looks of clear confusion. I couldn't help but speak up. What? The middle school graduate has something to say. She spoke like she was addressing a child, fixing her heavily lined eyes directly on me. Jennifer, you may think that once development begins, products just roll out like they're on a conveyor belt. But I began to explain, as clearly as I could, the immense amount of time and steps it takes for a single product to take shape and make it to market. At first, her face was full of irritation, but once she realized she had nothing to counter with, she simply muttered, "I see," and said no more. I could feel the eyes of everyone around me, clearly surprised that a new employee had managed to silence the acting president. Well, thank you for the insight, George. I'll definitely remember your name and face. With a sly smirk and the sound of her heels echoing, Jennifer left the room. The entire department sat in stunned silence for a moment. You've sure caught the attention of the princess, Kyle said, giving me a hearty slap on the back. Thanks. Maybe I can give a shot here after all. Thinking like that, I felt a renewed sense of motivation toward my work. But I never would have imagined that this moment would later put my position in jeopardy. It happened one day. I had gone down to the archives to retrieve some old documents. It was a forgotten place in the basement, always damp with the smell of mold. Unless absolutely necessary, no one ever went there. That day, I had a proposal due by the evening, and I was feeling the pressure. I went through the shelves, top to bottom, left to right, carefully checking each binder, but the one I needed was nowhere to be found. In my haste, my hand slipped. Whoa! A bundle of documents came tumbling down and scattered across the floor in every direction. Someone should have organized this better. Muttering complaints to myself, I had no choice but to start picking up the mess. Just then, the door burst open, and someone hurried in. Are you all right? Yeah, I'm okay. I looked up toward the voice. Wow, she's really beautiful. Not being used to women, it was the first time I'd ever been alone this close to one. She tucked a lock of her silky brown hair behind her ear and began helping me gather the scattered papers. Let me give you a hand, she said with a gentle smile, her clear eyes narrowing softly. Thank you. My face was probably as red as a boiled octopus. You're not hurt, are you? I heard a loud noise and thought something serious happened. No, I'm fine. Well, it's just rare, right? For someone to come down here. She let out a cheerful laugh and said, That's true. Most of this stuff is digitized now, and with the internet, hardly anyone needs to come here anymore. But I guess I'm a bit strange. Strange? You? Well, I don't know how to put it, but I feel at peace here. She said it with a nostalgic look on her face. No matter how much we move toward digital and paperless solutions, I still think there are things you can only understand or feel through paper. I get that. Even I was struggling to keep up with how much had changed since I returned to the company, or really, to society itself. Sure, it's incredibly convenient to be able to find everything online, but if you want to learn about how products were made or designed back when Mr. Thompson was still young. Only the paper archives hold that kind of information. Knowing there was someone here who understood that made me genuinely happy. Come to think of it, I never introduced myself. Want me to guess? Huh? Her slightly mischievous smile sent my heart racing. George, the quiet, steady type who worked hard behind the scenes and earned a lot of respect a few years back. Wait, how do you know my name? With a brilliant smile, she replied, I'm Emily, from HR. Well, I mainly work in legal now, but still. Oh, that explains how you know about me. Realizing she probably knew everything about me was honestly a bit embarrassing. But I really appreciate your help. I don't know what I would have done alone. Not at all. Well then. And with that, Emily walked off briskly, still smiling. She didn't even hesitate to help clean up, despite wearing a stylish pastel pink shirt and white pants. Some things change, but maybe, just maybe, some things never do. Recalling her kind expression, I quickly grabbed the document I needed and hurried back to my department. What is this mess? Jennifer's domineering voice rang out again across the office. I'm sorry. I'll fix it right away. You know, just because you went to a national university doesn't mean you get to act all high and mighty. You might want to work on that attitude. While Jennifer was really furious at Emily, Emily was silent. Say something. Yes, ma'am. That voice, why does it sound familiar? I sat staring back and forth between the documents and my computer screen, all while listening to the sickening exchange going on nearby. I really hate that look, you know, the poor me eyes. It's so annoying. I'm sorry, Jennifer. With a sigh loud enough for everyone to hear, Jennifer turned and walked off. The tension in the room released instantly, and a low murmur spread through the department. There she goes again, picking on the pretty ones. She's just jealous because that girl's cuter than her. It's ridiculous. I'm glad I went to a local university. The mix of pity and gossip made the whole situation feel even more uncomfortable. And yet, no one tried to step in, they all just looked the other way. Oh, George? Ah, from the other day. When I walked into the copy room, Emily came rushing over with a surprised but warm smile. There was something I had to ask. Hey, just now, was that? You heard it, huh? Emily smiled, but her eyes were shimmering with unshed tears. Emily, does Jennifer always say stuff like that to you? Yes, but it's my fault. I'm not very good at my job, so I guess it can't be helped. Watching her put on a brave face made my chest ache. If there's anything I can do to help, let me know. I still owe you for the other day. I'll hold you to that, she said with a bright smile. Well, see you later. Yeah, take care. As I watched her leave the copy room, her figure fading into the corridor, I couldn't get that sad expression she sometimes wore out of my mind. After that, I saw Emily get harshly reprimanded by Jennifer again and again. There were times she was left out of internal communications, entirely deliberate acts that clearly disrupted her work. Then, one day, we had a big meeting scheduled with a client, and a mountain of documents needed to be prepared. As expected, Emily was being run ragged by Jennifer's constant demands from early in the morning. We've got one more person attending. Print another set. Yes, I understand. Jennifer watched Emily scrambling with a satisfied smirk, doing nothing but enjoying the sight. The other employees, probably afraid to get involved, kept glancing over, but didn't move to help, just buried themselves in their own tasks. I couldn't take it anymore. I'll help. What? But aren't you busy? This isn't the time to be saying that. Without waiting for a response, I grabbed the stack of materials from her hands. Emily looked stunned, but quickly snapped back to reality. Neither of us noticed Jennifer's icy gaze watching from across the room. From that point on, every time I saw Emily struggling, I helped her without thinking. Even when I asked about her tasks and realized most of them had nothing to do with her actual responsibilities, no one dared defy a command from the acting president. Still, despite the frustration building inside me, I couldn't ignore her earnest efforts. I kept reaching out. Let's have a break, I said, handing her a can of coffee. Thanks for always helping. We sat side by side on a bench in the break room, cracking open our drinks. Phew! That's quite the way to enjoy a coffee. She smiled at me as she spoke. Spending these little breaks with her had become a small, cherished part of my day. Emily spoke up hesitantly. If it's okay, I was thinking of bringing a homemade lunch next time. Huh? A lunch? The unexpected offer caught me so off guard that my face froze completely. Oh, if that's a bother, then never mind. I'd love to eat it. Really? You mean it? Her smile burst open like a firework. Seeing that, I decided to go a step further. If it's all right, maybe we could eat it together too? I was just about to suggest the same thing. You were? We looked at each other and laughed. It felt like the kind of silly exchange high school couples might have, and it made me a little embarrassed. Then next week. Excuse me, can I interrupt for a moment? Our peaceful moment was shattered by a voice that could only be described as demonic. Good afternoon, Jennifer. Emily greeted her with a smile, but Jennifer barely glanced in her direction before ignoring her completely. George, I need to talk to you. Pardon me, she said sweetly, then yanked me by the arm and dragged me away. Oh hey, that hurts. I looked back at Emily, who just stood there frozen, still holding her coffee with a stunned look on her face. Ouch, ouch. She gripped my arm so tightly I thought it might pop out of its socket and pulled me to a deserted corner of the floor. What is it? Rubbing my arm, I looked at her right at the tip of her nose, where her makeup was starting to wear off. Hey, finally, just the two of us. Jennifer leaned in close, an eerie smile spreading across her face. So, are you free this Saturday? Well. I held my breath, trying not to choke on the overwhelming scent of her perfume, while desperately searching for a way to say no. I'm throwing a home party with some friends. I'd love for you to come, George. What do you say? The thick blue eyeshadow around her eyes was almost painful to look at. Oh well, actually, I already have plans. Plans? She furrowed her brows and leaned in suspiciously. Yeah, something I really can't get out of. With an air of entitlement, she replied, Just cancel. You shouldn't be wasting your time around here. George, the people coming to this party are far more intelligent and insightful than anyone in this office. Yeah, but I'm not really used to that kind of scene. They were probably people from an entirely different world than mine. I had no confidence I'd fit in at all. I'll be right there with you. Even so. I hesitated, scrambling for an excuse, determined to refuse. It's really hard for me to go to that party, no matter what. I see. So even after all this, you're turning me down. Yes, I'm sorry. She finally let go and stepped back, as if giving up. Just then, a thunderous voice crashed down like a bolt of lightning. Do you have any idea who I am? I'm the next president of Thompson Industries, one of the top competitors in the industry. And you're turning me down? That can only mean one thing. Her eyes lit up as if she'd solved a mystery. It's her, isn't it? That girl your plans are with, aren't they? I knew it. No, that's not it. She has nothing to do with this. I tried desperately to deny it, but Jennifer wasn't listening. In fact, her anger only intensified. So even someone like you, someone from the bottom of the barrel, can't resist a pretty face, huh? God, she makes me sick. That manipulative witch. With all due respect, Jennifer, she's not a manipulative witch. She's kind and hardworking, and she treats everyone with respect. Unfortunately, my defense only seemed to fan the flames of Jennifer's fury. And then, the moment came. The one I couldn't take back. You know what? Fine. Don't bother coming back to work. You're fired. Wait, fired? Of course, I'm the acting president, and I'm telling you you're done. With her heels clacking furiously against the floor, she stormed off. It's hard to imagine now, but at that moment, with no options left, I had no choice but to obey Jennifer's declaration. And just like that, I was cast out not just from the company, but from society itself. Following company protocol, I began the resignation process exactly as Jennifer instructed. Despite the paperwork and formality, it was all over before I knew it. Even when I went around to say goodbye to each department, people looked at me with oddly detached eyes, as if they had already heard the rumors about why I was leaving. I heard he got fired by the spoiled princess. Why? Apparently, he turned her down for a date. Seriously? Fired over something that petty? Is this company even safe to work for? Well, the only way to survive around here is to do what the princess says. Wasn't George a middle school grad? Good luck finding work now. They whispered behind cupped hands, their eyes gleaming like they'd just found the juiciest piece of gossip in weeks. Because, in the end, other people's misfortune is always the sweetest treat. George! As I was back at my desk, packing up the last of my things, I heard a voice behind me. Emily! I'm officially leaving the company as of today. Well, technically a month from now, since I'm using up my paid leave. I tried to play it off with a smile to lighten the mood. But Emily's expression stayed firm. Why do you have to leave? I don't understand. It's not fair. She looked down, her voice trembling. This might just be the perfect moment. I'd say the time has finally come. Now was the time to reveal what I had been planning all along. Emily, if you're willing. What is it? Her beautiful eyes were fixed on me, serious and attentive. That alone gave me strength. I'm thinking of starting my own company, and I want you by my side. Will you leave this place and come with me? Her eyes widened in shock. But the response she gave wasn't what I expected. I'm sorry. What? In my mind, I could practically hear the theme from Heaven and Hell playing. I actually like this company. With an apologetic look on her face, she spoke with quiet passion about how much she still wanted to contribute to the company. This place took a chance on someone like me and helped me grow. I haven't given back nearly enough yet, so I have to keep trying. Looking at her face as she said that, I could tell there was no changing her mind. I nodded with a smile. I understand. Thank you for everything. Keep giving it your best. I will. She responded with a bright, beaming smile. And so, on the surface, I shook her hand firmly. I can't believe she actually turned me down. Inside, it felt like a torrential downpour, so overwhelming that if I let my guard down for even a moment, I might break down in tears. I'm sorry, this all happened because of me. No, Mr. Thompson. I'm honestly grateful to you from the bottom of my heart. Lying in a hospital bed at a general hospital on the outskirts of the city, Mr. Thompson listened to the news of my resignation. He was visibly shocked, even shaken. Over and over, he apologized, his voice low with regret. As long as I was in charge of the company, I would never have let you go. But now that my daughter is running things, I can't go against her authority. I understand completely. I didn't come here today to complain. I just wanted to thank you properly. But when I said that, I couldn't continue. Memories of all the work we had accomplished together since I joined the company rushed through me, and my chest tightened. I never got the chance to repay you. Tears welled up and slipped down my cheeks. George! Mr. Thompson placed his now thin, trembling hand on my shoulder. No, it's me who should be thanking you. You've done more than I ever expected. I'm truly grateful. Then, he opened the drawer by his bedside and took something out, placing it in front of me. Mr. Thompson, what is this? Consider it a parting gift from me to you. I can't accept this. What about Thompson Industries? I couldn't bring myself to accept what he was offering without hesitation. But he gripped my hand with what little strength he had left, speaking with determination. You're free now. I want you to do what you believe in. Don't worry about Thompson Industries. Think of this as my one and only selfish request. Mr. Thompson. I couldn't find any more words to say as I watched him, hunched and frail, plead with everything he had left. Immediately after resigning, I began preparing to start my own company. I believed the experience I gained at Thompson Industries and the technologies I helped develop would become powerful tools in my next challenge. After much thought, I named the company Natural Tech to reflect my belief in living and creating in harmony with nature. Academic background isn't everything. I've got experience. I'll make this work no matter what. I repeated those words to myself as I filed all the paperwork to officially launch the business. My office was a room in my own house. To keep initial costs low, I decided to base the operations remotely, at least for the time being. I launched the company with the determination to rise above the adversity I'd faced, but of course, things didn't go smoothly from the start. In an industry saturated with similar companies, nobody wanted to do business with a no-name newcomer. Even when I tried to reach out through old contacts, many of them were likely under Jennifer's influence, and no one was willing to stick their neck out for me. I knew it. Someone like me, with no degree and no connections, starting a company? What was I thinking? I should have known all of this before I even started the business. I burned through what little savings I had left, spending months crafting products and going door to door from a tiny, standalone workshop far from my home. Naturally, there were no sales, only mounting debt. With no clear direction, I wandered aimlessly, constantly lost in thought. Who would ever need a product brought in unannounced by a man with no background, no reputation? Day after day of being turned away at the door, my spirit was on the verge of breaking. And then, one day, lost in despair, I walked through the pouring rain toward my empty home. What's going to happen to the company? Am I really not needed by anyone anymore? Before I realized it, the scenery around me had changed, and I had wandered into a bustling downtown area lined with restaurants and bars. Every place seemed packed with customers, and from the open doors came the loud, tipsy laughter of people reveling in alcohol. I happened to glance through one of the glass storefronts. Inside, I saw former coworkers and senior staff laughing and chatting, their faces flushed from drinking. Even Kyle, the one who used to talk to me the most, was sitting close with a young new employee, looking like they were getting along just fine. If only I hadn't turned her down back then. The thought crossed my mind, but I shook it off. No, I made my choice with conviction. I reminded myself that this path I'm on isn't a mistake. Just then, I heard voices coming from a narrow alleyway. For a moment, a chill ran down my spine, as if something unseen was lurking there, but I gathered my courage and slowly stepped closer. Huh, what happened to you? George. There she was, Emily, soaked to the bone, sitting on the ground. Her bag and shoes were thrown to the side, covered in mud, and her once silky hair was dripping wet, clinging to her like seaweed. What happened? Without thinking, I ran to her, ignoring the rain as I held my umbrella over her. Why are you out here like this? It's my fault. I'm so clumsy. Seeing the expression on her face somewhere between a smile and tears, I gently took her hand and did my best to pull her out of that moment. Thank you, George. For now, let's get you out of here. If we stayed any longer, she'd surely catch a cold. Despite her reluctance, I convinced her to go to my place. I'll leave the towel here, okay? I said through the bathroom door as the sound of the shower ran. My heart was still pounding. Just hours ago, I never would have imagined something like this happening. But as I replayed what she had told me, a familiar anger toward Jennifer began to rise within me. You got fired. What happened? She probably just didn't like me. As Emily spoke through her tears, this is what her story boiled down to. When she arrived at work that morning, she found her desk had been turned into a storage area with her computer and documents shoved carelessly into a corner. Of course, no one had told her anything beforehand, and all she could do was stand there in stunned silence. Then, out of nowhere, Jennifer appeared and said something truly outrageous. Sorry, but you're fired. A new hire's coming in today, so we need the space. Saying that, Jennifer pressured her to pack up her personal belongings and leave. And when Emily asked for the reason she was being let go, Jennifer said this. A reason? First, your perfume. I hate the smell. Second, your heels are too loud. They mess with my concentration. Oh, and you disagreed with me during yesterday's meeting. That was very rude. Oh, and the biggest reason? I'm just in a bad mood today. You annoy me. That's enough of a reason, isn't it? So go, now. I can't believe she said something so cruel. Just imagining the scene made my chest burn with anger. I guess I just couldn't live up to the company's expectations. I really thought things were going well at first. As we walked home, she whispered those words and quietly let her tears fall. How far does she think her authority go? The smiling faces of my old colleagues and Jennifer's smug expression kept flashing through my mind. It felt as if the whole world was laughing at us, as if everything and everyone had turned against us. I had reached my limit. I couldn't let Jennifer and the others have their way any longer. George. At some point, Emily had come back and was now standing there with a worried expression. Whoa, you startled me. With her makeup off, she looked breathtakingly beautiful, and I was pretty sure a goofy smile had crept onto my face. Please, don't stare like that. She covered her face with both hands, and the gesture was almost too adorable to handle. That was the moment I made up my mind. Emily. I straightened my posture and looked her in the eye. Oh, sorry for giving you so much trouble. That's not it. My voice came out louder than I intended, and I closed my eyes reflexively. The company's in trouble. I haven't been able to find a single client willing to work with us, and without money, I can't move forward with product development. It's just a mess of debt now. But even so, this company means more to me than my own life. That's why. For a moment, I hesitated, but then I called up every ounce of resolve inside me. I need your help. I can't do this without you. George. Hearing me ask a second time, Emily's eyes filled with tears, but this time she looked confused. If you're okay, I'll help. Really? George, or should I say, President? She straightened her back. Please hire me. I know I turned you down before, but if you'll let me, I'd love to help. She bowed her head deeply. Emily, raise your head. I placed a hand gently on her shoulder. Thank you. This might all be fate. Watching you fight so hard made me want to start fresh and give it my all too. Thank you for everything today. She nodded and leaned her head softly against my chest. I was flustered by the unfamiliar closeness, but I let myself go with the moment and gently wrapped my arms around her. Several months had passed since Emily joined Natural Tech. In that time, the company had grown by leaps and bounds. Back at Thompson Industries, she mainly handled legal matters and administrative tasks, but here, her full potential finally came to light. First, her legal knowledge helped build a solid foundation for the company. She carefully handled contracts, intellectual property rights, and all the critical areas I might have missed on my own. George, I think this clause should be a bit more specific. It'll help prevent future issues. Thanks to her advice, I was able to sign our first major contract with confidence. Her presence was just as invaluable in sales. While I explained the technical aspects, she paid close attention to clients' reactions and offered precise follow-up. To add to George's explanation, our product not only offers excellent energy efficiency, but also contributes to long-term cost savings. If you'd like, I can provide the actual numbers. Her calm and persuasive delivery caught the attention of many clients. Even in product development, Emily's impact was immense. She had a remarkable ability to gather information. George, I put together a summary of the latest environmental regulations. If we revise our product design with this in mind, it'll give us a competitive edge. The information she brought me fueled new innovation when combined with my technical expertise. In financial matters, her contributions were just as vital. Her meticulous money management kept our spending in check and allowed for more efficient operations. If we cut costs in this area, we could reinvest in new equipment. I think it'll bring significant long-term benefits. Her suggestions were always spot on and easy to trust. But above all else, it was Emily's optimism and work ethic that kept me going. watching her continue client visits until sunset, brainstorm new product ideas late into the night, and even give up her weekends for work inspired me to push myself just as hard. I couldn't let her outshine me. Without a doubt, the distance between us had grown closer, and we had become a perfectly in sync team. Even when problems arose during production, we faced them together, thinking, adjusting, and overcoming as one. With each challenge, our mutual trust deepened. By the time 6 months had passed since founding the company, the name Natural Tech had begun to spread within the industry, and we had secured a stable base of clients. Looking at the results Emily and I had built together, I felt a quiet sense of pride. It was around the end of the month when it happened. Emily had finally found a moment to breathe after wrapping up the monthly accounting and piles of administrative work. As she reviewed the sales ledger, her eyes widened in disbelief. "What? This can't be real." Startled by her voice, I looked up. "What is it, Emily?" "George, look at this." She pointed to the sales column in the ledger. Where last month's revenue had been around $50,000, this month's figure had suddenly surged past $300,000. Why? Why such a huge jump? Emily's voice was trembling. She hurriedly began flipping through the other documents in a panic. "This one too, and this one, they're all trending upward. Our profit margin just passed 20%. I couldn't help but smile. So, it finally happened. "Huh? George, did you know something?" Emily looked at me, wide-eyed. I stood up slowly and walked over to the window. To tell the truth, the plan I put into motion last month, it's all starting to pay off. Plan? Yeah, first, thanks to your research on environmental regulations, we were the first to meet the new standards. That got us a feature in an industry magazine, and suddenly small businesses started flooding us with inquiries. Emily gasped. "That's not all. That deal with the major retail chain? We got such good terms thanks to your legal expertise. That deal alone accounts for a huge chunk of this month's revenue. I had no idea. And the SNS marketing campaign you came up with? That Ecotech challenge exploded with. Younger audiences now were getting flooded with orders from individual consumers too. I never imagined it would be so effective. And finally, the buzz around our new smart energy manager. The word of mouth has spread fast now. Even big corporations are placing bulk orders. With double the energy-saving performance and AI-driven optimization, people are really taking notice. George, all our hard work finally paid off." Emily's eyes shimmered with tears. "Yeah, everything came together, and this explosion in sales? It's thanks to you too." Emily's eyes shimmered with tears. "Thank you, George." Just as I was about to finish explaining, the office door suddenly burst open with a loud bang. "Well, pardon the intrusion. Is the president of Natural Tech in?" That shrill voice, it had been a while since I heard it, but it nearly made me choke. Oh my, getting cozy at work, are you? What a perfect match, two losers clinging to each other. Ignoring Jennifer's jab, I calmly faced her. It's been a while. Her garish makeup and overly curled hair hadn't changed, and the fury radiating off her nearly filled the room. "You think you're clever, don't you?" Her voice shook with anger. Emily and I looked at each other in confusion. "What is the meaning of this?" She waved a stack of documents furiously in the air. "I can't believe this is under your name. Please, calm down." Emily tried to step in, but Jennifer wasn't having any of it. "Be quiet." She shot her a sharp glance, then turned back to face me with fury in her eyes. "Care to explain why you didn't say anything? I just found out that most of the patents for Thompson Industries products are registered under your name." Emily gasped in shock. "Wait, George, is that true?" I kept my composure and looked directly at Jennifer. "Yes, I was involved in developing nearly all of Thompson Industries products." Jennifer's face turned bright red with anger, but then, suddenly, her expression shifted. She took a deep breath, as if regaining her composure, and a faint, calculating smile appeared on her lips. "Well then, just hold on a second. Her voice was calm now, but laced with venom. "You might be impressive, but you're forgetting one little thing." I didn't respond, only watched her in silence. Emily, too, held her breath, waiting for what was to come. Jennifer continued, her face full of confidence. "You're familiar with the employee invention system, right? Under Japanese law, inventions created during employment automatically belong to the company. So," a sly grin crept across her lips. "All those patents? They belong to us. Understand?" Her eyes gleamed with the triumph of a predator who believed she had cornered her prey. She clearly thought she'd just struck a fatal blow. "But I had anticipated this all along," I replied calmly, my voice firm and assured. "Yes, I'm fully aware of the employee invention system." I nodded slowly. "But Jennifer, there are exceptions." Her face froze. Emily gasped, her eyes darting between me and Jennifer. The atmosphere in the office shifted completely. Heavy tension settled over the room. No one could predict what would happen next. I pulled out a certain document and held it out. Jennifer snatched it from my hand and began muttering under her breath as she read through the contents. "What the hell is this? I never heard about this." She screamed and then, without warning, began tearing the document apart. That document was the contract regarding my patent rights co-signed by Mr. Thompson and me. Ordinarily, Jennifer would have been right. Patents created during employment belonged to the company. And back when I decided to resign, I fully expected that all my inventions would remain with Thompson Industries, and I was okay with that. After all, I had poured my soul into developing those products with the support of Mr. Thompson and so many of my seniors. Those patents were like my children, and they had become the lifeblood of the company. But Mr. Thompson had a different view. I still remember the day I visited him in the hospital to say goodbye. "An exception to the employee invention system?" "Yes," he replied. "Normally, all inventions made while employed would automatically be owned by the company, and of course, the inventor should be compensated appropriately. But," his expression turned grave. "Knowing my daughter, she would never honor that. She wouldn't even consider it. So I wanted to make this a personal gift to you, George. Mr. Thompson, you've worked hard. Being someone who didn't finish high school, I know it couldn't have been easy, but you overcame it. These inventions are your achievements, your legacy. I refuse to let that selfish daughter of mine take them away. I want you to keep them, all of them. I understand, and I will gladly accept your kindness, Mr. Thompson." I clutched the bundle of patent documents bearing Mr. Thompson's name tightly to my chest, the very papers I had just received, and I cried. Right there in front of the man who had once guided me, I let everything out. At the time, I intended to leave everything with the company. Even if my name was on the patents, I had only been able to accomplish what I did thanks to Mr. Thompson and the support of my seniors. And more than anything, I genuinely loved Thompson Industries. "George, I never knew you felt that way," Emily whispered, a single tear sliding down her cheek. "But I changed my mind. As long as you are part of Thompson Industries, I refuse to let everything I poured my soul into be exploited so easily. I'll always be grateful to your father, but I won't let you do whatever you want anymore." The moment I made my declaration, her expression began to darken, but unable to accept it, she slammed both hands onto the table and shouted, "You seduced my father, didn't you? You filthy thief." Then she picked up a torn piece of the contract and waved it mockingly. "I could easily tell your clients that their little natural tech CEO assaulted me. Who do you think they'll believe? Some nobody from a startup? Or the next president of Thompson Industries? I never imagined she'd stoop so low as to use the patents as leverage for such outrageous threats, but I'm a company president now. There's no way I'll let myself be pushed around by a selfish woman like her. You can try to intimidate me all you want, but there are things I simply won't give up." Apparently, that response flipped a switch in her. "You've got to be kidding me." With a furious cry, she grabbed a decorative metal bolt from the nearby shelf and hurled it at me. That object was a commemorative piece I had received from Thompson Industries after winning the company's internal product competition. It represented the very beginning of my journey. I crossed my arms over my head and face to shield myself from the flying object, when suddenly a voice rang out from an unexpected direction. "Enough. I feel so embarrassed as your sister, Jennifer." "What?" I turned toward the source of the voice. There stood Emily, eyes red and filled with tears, wiping her cheeks as she glared at Jennifer. "Sister, wait, you two are sisters?" I looked back and forth between Emily and Jennifer. Jennifer didn't say anything. She just looked down. "Emily, what's going on?" "We're half-sisters," she said quietly. And then she told us a story none of us had expected. "My mother was my father's second wife. I'm her daughter from a previous marriage, so I kept her surname to avoid complications. That was actually my father's suggestion." "I had no idea," I said. "But if you're sisters, that means you're also a Thompson heiress, right?" She lowered her head in silence. Jennifer remained quiet too, her lips pressed into a thin line until, finally, she broke the silence. "When Thompson Industries was first founded, we were incredibly poor, but my mother gave everything she had to support my father. She came from a fairly wealthy family and was raised as a proper young lady, so living in poverty was unbelievably hard on her. Eventually, she couldn't take it anymore and left. She took me with her. With help from her relatives, she did her best to raise me, but right before I entered middle school, she collapsed without warning. And that was the lowest point of my entire life." A tear spilled down Jennifer's cheek as she recalled the past. "And then, as soon as the company grew successful, my father remarried. It was as if he'd completely forgotten everything my mother went through. I could never forgive him. I couldn't forgive him for abandoning us or her." She pointed furiously at Emily, hatred flashing in her eyes. "You're wrong, Jennifer. Father never once forgot about either of you." "What are you talking about?" "When my father and mother met, they were both deeply hurt. He had lost the family he loved most and was overwhelmed with grief, while my mother and I had just escaped terrible abuse from my biological father, her former husband, and their marriage was, in part, to protect us. It was never because he wanted to abandon you." "Oh, really? Then how do you explain those pictures of him grinning at that stupid theme park? That look on his face, I've never seen him so happy. I swore that day I'd make him pay. I never expected him to fall ill so suddenly, but luckily, I still secured my place as next in line. And I'll tell you right now, the only person worthy of leading Thompson Industries is me." Her scream echoed across the small office space, empty of sound afterward. There were things he never told us, but I found out in high school. He was regularly sending money somewhere. I didn't ask at the time. Later, after I joined Thompson Industries, he told me the truth. "No, it can't be." Jennifer suddenly looked stunned, as if something had clicked into place. "Dad secretly paid for your mother's medical expenses and your school tuition. He was doing what he could to make amends in his own way, and I remember sometimes catching him quietly looking at a photo. And when I peeked over his shoulder, I saw him smiling so gently, surrounded by a beautiful woman and a girl with a lovely half-up hairstyle. And now I realize that was a photo of you and your mother, which only proves that he never, ever forgot about you." "Ugh." Jennifer covered her face with both hands and sobbed openly, unable to stop the flood of tears. "Dad really did think about us, but what I wanted wasn't that." Her voice was choked with a painful mixture of anger and sorrow. "What I really wanted was for him to be there, not just a smile in some old photo." Jennifer covered her face with both hands, her shoulders trembling as she cried. After a while, she slowly lifted her face. In her eyes, there was a new sense of resolve. "It's too late now." Jennifer's voice was calm, but filled with strong determination. "I finally understand that my father did care about us, but I can't go back anymore." She stood up and looked straight at me and Emily. "George, Emily, you win, but I'm not giving up either." Saying that, she turned and walked slowly toward the door. At the exit, she paused for a moment. Without turning back, she left us with her final words. The space that had been filled with such fierce emotion just moments ago fell into complete silence. Jennifer's parting words echoed softly, lingering in the air. "I'm sorry," Emily said suddenly. "Why are you the one apologizing?" "Because I never told you the truth, that I'm Mr. Thompson's daughter. But you had your reasons, and it's not like that caused me any problems. I just wasn't confident. It's not like I did anything to earn the title of Thompson's daughter. I didn't work hard to get there. My mom just happened to marry into the family, and the next thing I knew, that's who I was." "I get it. You didn't know how to talk about it, right?" Emily nodded. "Whatever the reason, I'm truly grateful that my parents got married. I often wonder what would have happened to us otherwise. You've been through a lot. You really did your best." I gently stroked her hair. "Actually, my dad used to talk about you all the time. He said that even though you didn't have a fancy education, you worked harder than anyone else and never gave up. He was so proud of you, it was like he was talking about himself. I always wanted to meet you. After I joined Thompson Industries, I kept looking for someone who matched his stories, but I couldn't find anyone. Eventually, work got so busy, I almost forgot, until you found me buried under a pile of papers in the archive room? Yeah, it was like something out of a comic book." We both laughed. "You're exactly who he said you were. Always doing your best, thinking about the company first, even when you were forced to quit. You never gave up, you kept moving forward. I'm not as amazing as you think. That's just modesty. Honestly, it was because I kept chasing after you that I grew to love Thompson Industries. But now," she gently took my hands in hers, "now I love this company, and you most of all." Her cheeks flushed, and I couldn't hold back my feelings anymore. "Emily, I love you too." And like we were being pulled together, our lips met. In that moment, we simply let ourselves enjoy the happiness we'd found. After that, natural tech sales continued to climb steadily, and before long, we had reached annual revenue of over $10 million. Companies of all sizes began handling our products, and both our development and production divisions thrived. Meanwhile, Thompson Industries was forced to halt production of its main product line due to my refusal to transfer the patent rights. Even though they tried to develop replacements, longtime clients and buyers were furious and demanded explanations. The backlash didn't stop. As complaints grew, even employees who had once supported Jennifer began to speak out, and the company's performance quickly plummeted. What is your president thinking? This all happened because the daughter took over, didn't it? Thompson Industries is finished. Those kinds of comments started to spread, and the blame eventually landed squarely on Jennifer. The board of directors began discussing her responsibility, and in the end, she was removed from her position as president. She was completely expelled from Thompson Industries. At that moment, all the things Jennifer had kept hidden in the shadows, her autocratic leadership and the way she mixed her personal life with company affairs, were exposed, and the media began reporting on it day after day. The moment I saw a close-up photo of her heavy makeup on TV, I almost gagged. It was that bad. Thompson Industries had seemingly been abandoned by the rest of the industry, but that wasn't quite the end of the story. "Mr. Nelson, what should we do with this?" "Set that aside. It's going to be part of the shipment for this client." "Understood." Amid the loud clatter of welding and the scent of industrial materials filling the air, our employees and part-timers worked side by side on product manufacturing. I was no longer a one-man president running a one-man operation, but I still couldn't go a day without stepping into the factory floor myself. Watching people sweat and work hard for the good of others and society that never failed to refresh my spirit. "Mr. Nelson, you have a call from Brave Corporation." "Thanks, Emily." Her warm, familiar smile greeted me as always. Emily was no longer just my business partner, she had also become my partner in life. Thanks to her thoughtful nature and the business sense she inherited from her father, she had earned the deep trust of our team. That's why I decided to ask her if she would take on the role of executive vice president. She smiled and nodded, but then added, on one condition. What is it? I asked. I want to give someone another chance. Is that okay? Another chance? At first, I couldn't immediately agree to her request. But in the end, I accepted it. Naturally, Mr. Thompson, the former president of Thompson Industries, had become my father-in-law. After receiving intensive treatment, his condition had stabilized, and he was now in outpatient care, slowly recovering. He recently announced his retirement from the presidency, but after I spoke with him at length, he agreed to stay on as chairman and watch over the future of the Natural Tech Group. And then, thanks to that connection, we were able to smoothly carry out the acquisition procedures just the other day, and as a result, Thompson Industries officially became part of the Natural Tech Group. I had finally made the dream I'd quietly held onto for years a reality. Right away, I assigned a few of Natural Tech's top employees to be temporarily transferred and tasked them with rebuilding the business. At one point, the number of employees at Thompson Industries had dropped to around 50, but I chose not to let a single one of them go and instead welcomed all of them as employees of Natural Tech. I especially focused on revitalizing the development division, passing on every bit of technical knowledge and experience I had gained over the years. They responded to my expectations with incredible dedication, and slowly but surely, Thompson Industries' product orders began to grow. Looking ahead, I want to expand our team a bit more and develop even more products that can help people live more comfortably. Now, as for Jennifer, who had completely lost her former standing and had her true colors exposed, she seemed to have changed completely after everything that happened. How have things been lately? Thanks to you, things are going well. We're counting on your continued support of both Natural Tech and Thompson Industries. The representative from our client company left with a cheerful smile. Mr. Nelson. Hi, Jennifer. Where should I put this? Her tone still had a bit of bluntness, but honestly, of all the recent changes, Jennifer's transformation surprised me the most. When Emily agreed to take the EVP position, she had one condition. She asked if we could give Jennifer, her stepsister, a job on the manufacturing line at Natural Tech. At first, I hesitated. After all, she had made not only me but many others feel miserable, and she was the kind of person who wouldn't hesitate to push others aside if it meant achieving her own goals. But people make mistakes, and who's to say they don't deserve a chance to redeem themselves? In this country, once you fall off the official path, it's said to be nearly impossible to climb your way back up. That's exactly why I wanted our company to set the example that people can start over as many times as they need to. Jennifer was assigned to the production line, working on manufacturing key components of our products. When she was first brought in by her father, she wore a sullen expression, but as she quietly focused on her work, I could clearly see the tension in her face begin to soften. After all, she too carries the blood of Thompson Industries. Mr. Nelson, I finished all the work today. Jennifer, it must have been tough with the extra volume today. No, it wasn't that bad. Gone was the pretentious air she had when acting as acting president. Her heavy makeup was gone, and her clothes were simple and modest. Still, there was something peaceful about her expression. The line supervisor told me you've gotten a lot quicker lately. Thank you. Her voice was quiet and a little hard to catch, but there was a growing confidence in the way she carried herself. I'm glad I decided to accept Emily's suggestion. With that thought, I gazed up at the Natural Tech building standing near the factory. There are many things in this world that can't be overcome by effort alone. In my case, life circumstances meant I never got to attend high school. But even so, I worked hard, never letting that stop me, and in doing so, I gained valuable experience and relationships that rival any formal education. I even met someone irreplaceable. I hope I can repay the kindness shown to someone like me by reaching out to those who are working hard just like I once was.